I know at this point the world does not need another podcast, but I'm starting one anyway. Let me tell you why. I'm Jesse, a designer from California, and I've been creating content online about design and art for years now, and it's built me the community that I've grown to love, and I'm so grateful for that. However, at some point, I started to realize that that is not all who I am. Being a designer is not my sole identity, and I want a place to branch out and explore all the other things that make me, me, and us, and just connect with everyone on a human level. I don't want my whole identity to be shrunken down into me just being a designer. So, welcome to Glue FM. Ideas, conversations, and stories that keep us stuck together. I'm Jesse. Let's get into it. So I guess the first thing I want to just get out of the way and cover is why am I starting a podcast now? Obviously, in that cheeky little hook, it's not because the world needs it, but it's because I need it. I think that creative evolution and finding a way to constantly explore your interest and your other parts of your identity and the other things you're interested in other than what the algorithm has pigeonholed you into thinking are only important to you is crucial. And I want to get unstuck and reset those things and break away from purely the role of being a designer online and explore stuff with you that's more honest, more myself, unpolished, raw, and hopefully it can come across and translate in the way that I want it to and connect with you on a level of me, Jesse, as this person who is a designer, but also a climber, someone who likes hardcore music, someone who's interested in old cars, someone who loves video games, all the things that make me me and want to figure out what things that I like, you all like as well, and just have this cool place to connect. And I kind of miss doing a podcast. I know we live in a world of short form content, and ideally the best thing you could possibly do these days if you want to grow on content is create some kind of short form series. That's where the views are. That's where the money is. But even in my normal design content online, I've always really enjoyed longer form stuff, holding a mic like this, talking with you all, whether it's super edited or not, and if there's B-roll or not, whatever it is. I think this will be a good place to start with that. And honestly, I really miss doing podcasts in general with guests or solo. If you're an OG person in my community, you'll remember the Jesse Nyberg podcast, which has over 100 episodes that are still available on YouTube and all the audio stuff, wherever you listen to, of me interviewing designers and other creatives, mostly designers, but at some point it's like, how many designers can you talk to? Talking to over 100 graphic designers that I really looked up to or who were friends of mine, it's like, I don't know anymore. So I don't want my ability to connect with people on the internet or talk with you all or share ideas to be limited to just the scope of being this designer, TikTok creator, art guy. And I think that's the problem is when you stay in one niche for too long, it narrows down your perspective and it narrows down what people think of you and what you think of yourself. And you become more almost too conscious of this self as how other people see it rather than the self of how you see yourself. And I think niching down is really important in the beginning, and content in general and podcasts and talking to a camera would not exist without me being a graphic designer. I started all that stuff just so I could have a place to get more clients, share my design work with the world, show people how to do cool things with Photoshop, with their hands, whatever. But I think when the niche becomes you, it has lost its purpose. And I'm still going to continue to create stuff on those separate channels on Jesse Nyberg, Permanent Glue, all that. When you become too involved in this one niche, I think you start to lose your curiosity and lose the things that got you so interested in that first thing to begin with. Having an obsession and a passion and something to grind at and something that can be kind of your North Star is really important, but it's also important for that thing to be flexible and for you to adapt and for you to continue to explore all the things that interest you. There's times where I was so adamant about just being a designer that I didn't want to learn more about editing. I didn't want to learn more about sound design. I didn't want to learn more about video, photography, audio, this and that. And that is only hindering myself as a multidisciplinary person by saying, I don't have time for that. I'm a designer. And I've probably said something like that the other day to somebody, like, I need to just focus on my design work, so I can't be bothered with any of that stuff. But it's bad. That's how your identity shrinks. And that's when you start making things based off what's expected to you and based off what you think people think you are rather than what you actually are. And it's not to say that I've entirely outgrew this box of being a designer. I'm still doing client work, and I still 100% resonate with the identity of being a graphic designer. And it's a community that has its pros and cons, but something I have truly loved to be in. But being a design guy, design bro, whatever the fuck you want to call it, has its blessings and curses. The ceiling is, I felt like I couldn't talk about the things that were interested in me because it was not only a disservice to that specific audience, it wouldn't perform as well. At the end of the day, it's a business. I need to focus on the things that are helping me get income, the client work, the design videos that people seem to love. But I don't want that to be like, okay, well then that's it. I can't do the things I want to do, because at the end of the day, none of this really matters. We're making videos, or I'm talking to a camera on the internet through a mic I bought on Amazon for $90. This is just not that serious. So it's okay, I think, now, and I'm trying to give myself this permission to branch out into new things. And I hope that you will be along for the ride of that, because I'm interested in so many other things. I love hardcore music. That's something I definitely want to talk about on here. I've gotten really into rock climbing the last year and a half, 2 years, more into mental health stuff, productivity, but not in a toxic way, more in like a let's get stuff done, but learn how to enjoy our lives. And it's not just me. I want to talk about stuff like that. But cars, sorry, I just threw that in there, but it's not just me talking about that from like I have it figured out and I know. It's like we can learn and grow with that stuff together. And I just want to shift into being more of a full spectrum human again, without the expectations of YouTube, Spotify, Instagram, whatever billionaires, companies, algorithms that they're setting upon me, and feeling stuck with only focusing on the things that worked in the past, but wanting to branch out and build out more of my brand or whatever. I don't even know what that means, like my brand, but I feel like a lot of things I've made on the internet that have connected with people, yes, had a through line and a thread of design and art or creativity or freelancing, something in that vein. But some of the stuff that has connected the most with people and the lovely messages and comments I've gotten, were captured in this case or packaging of graphic design, but were more a reflection of me as a human and me as someone who has had struggles, someone who has overcame things, someone who is still trying to figure things out, someone who likes a specific type of music, someone who's into a certain type of culture, all the different things that I love and I consume as a person and I like to connect with online is seemingly what has connected with you. So and I'm not trying to be so redundant with this, but shit, this is the first episode and I haven't podcasted in a while, so bear with me, but I'm just trying to, I guess, get my point across of what this show is going to be about, but also not just make it like a too intro-y of an episode. Definitely still want to talk about things, but the real question is like, what do I want to talk about on this show? I know I've said that stuff a little bit, but for one, hardcore and the subculture of that, I would love to talk about. For the people who are interested in that, hardcore and punk music, anything alternative like that, shows, music that I think you should listen to, music that has inspired me, stuff that has helped me with work, life, activities, working out, etc., etc., etc. I don't even know etc. dot that. I don't even know how to say that word fully, but also cars and my roots growing up in Southern California has completely indoctrinated me into loving cars and being obsessed with old Toyota and Ford trucks, 90s JDM cars, stuff like that. I think that would be another cool thing to explore. A big inspiration for me in that world is James Pumphrey, this dude who runs this channel Speed. I also want to talk more about the creativity that goes into my work, my process. We're still going to talk about some design stuff, my routines, how I balance being a freelancer, how to work from home without completely wanting to die, and how to battle things like ADHD and distractions in a world that is constantly pulling us in a million different directions. I'm hoping that me and you can slow down a little bit and intentionally and thoughtfully talk about some of that stuff. Same thing, mental health and things that just help me feel less bad. And I want to learn from you all as well, because I do not have that stuff fully figured out. And one of the things that I get a lot from people that I meet who have been my friends online that I meet in person is that we don't connect on the fact that I'm just a designer. We get along with jokes, my personality, whatever you want to call it. And I want to be able to show up more for myself at the very least and be okay with being more vulnerable and showing a little bit more about Jesse Nyberg as the human being in California on this earth, not just the graphic designer who tells you what his favorite fonts are in a short form TikTok. And rock climbing, I want to talk about stuff like that, advice, life, philosophy, whatever. This will probably be a mix of a whole human show, and humans aren't singular, so I do want to have other humans involved in this show. I will have the occasional guest, but I want it to only ever be in person. So whenever there's not a guest, we're gonna do things solo as well, because I want to get better about explaining my thoughts and ideas without relying rather on a person to bounce it off of. After doing 100 plus episodes of my original podcast, and a lot of them were remote because I started in COVID, it sucks doing podcasts on Zoom. I'll just straight up say that. The ones that I did in person, like the 5 to 10 or whatever of the 100 episodes, regardless of the guest, were significantly better because humans have so much of a better chance to connect and banter and get along or argue or whatever when you're in person and there's not that lag, or you're not looking at someone through this weird little box of light. And luckily, in the past couple of years, I have been so fortunate to where doing stuff online has taken me, with meeting people through Creator Camp, through events with companies like Adobe. I know so many cool ass people who are way cooler than me on the internet that I would love to talk to about specific things or reach out and connect. If someone is really into a specific subject that I like as well, it would be awesome to talk to them about that. I don't know exactly what the entire format will be. I'm still figuring it out. I think this show won't be dictated by a certain length, a certain topic, but it will all have the through line of myself and other people and curiosity and a little bit of design. Don't worry, but we still have the other channels. So if there's not, this doesn't have to be for you, and that's okay. I don't expect everyone who likes me as a designer to want to hear me talk about shoes, or hear me talk about cars, or doing sauna or whatever the fuck. I get that. And that's definitely one of my biggest insecurities about doing stuff like this, is maybe my only interest to people who don't know me online is through that through line of graphic design. Hopefully not, but I'm willing to restart something and fail and try at the very least to see if it'll work. I think living a life full of potential failures or even actual failures is at the end of the day always going to be better than a life full of regrets. Why nots, not what ifs. And if I didn't do that why not, to starting posting tutorials online, to posting my shitty early on graphic design work on Instagram, if I wasn't vulnerable and tried to do that stuff, none of this would be happening right now. None of the other stuff I would have done would have existed. And I would probably just be working as a designer somewhere at a job I don't really like, and I wouldn't get to do the things that I love every day. So it's so important to be willing to put yourself out there and be embarrassed. It's embarrassing making content, straight up. There's no way around it. No matter how cool, how color graded something is, how interesting what you talk about is, it's hard to put yourself out there and let people judge you. Even, and you get 99% good things, but the 1%, shit hits pretty hard and it's difficult. And now I am stripping away the scapegoat of graphic design, and people can shit on my design and art all they want. I get that all the time. I think I'm all right with that at this point. I think I've overcame that. But this will be an interesting challenge to see how I feel when I'm the subject matter and I'm the only target left. So we'll see how it goes. But my overall kind of intentions with this show, I guess, are to do something more honest, more raw, and more unpolished. I don't want to do a lot of hyper editing. Might have someone do clips or something to help grow it. But I really want to focus on just a long form conversation and getting better and better at talking in front of a camera. I still cringe at a lot of the things that I do on the internet, but I'm trying to get better with that. And for example, some of the episodes that I already want to cover, I have written down in a spreadsheet, and I would love to hear about the things that you would love to hear about this show. Not to say that this podcast is going to be entirely dictated by what I think other people want, because that defeats the entire purpose. However, I'm always open to hearing new ideas. Some of the things I already want to talk about is the importance of needing a North Star. That's an episode I want to cover, and needing something to get you through those lonely periods as an entrepreneur, as a creative, or just as an individual who's trying to survive in this world. You need that thing to help you keep it going. Talking about how freelancing isn't for everybody. After doing work by myself for so long, I've realized a lot of people should have a job, and that's good. Some jobs are dope, and sometimes you just want a job and you have all your other things that fulfill you outside of it, and that's entirely okay. Everyone doesn't have to make their living solo, freelance, off their art, whatever. It's actually quite hard and very stressful at times. But when it does work, it's also rewarding. So a lot of nuance to talk about there. I have this kind of listicle video idea about the 10 things to make you feel less terrible. I want to do a video with one of my, I don't want to leak it too much, but this really cool creator that I know online who I think can drop 10 things of wisdom that, man, this creator, I don't want to blow it because it'll be in the future. This guy's made me cry like 5 times just from watching his IG reels or hearing him speak at an event we were at, or just talking to him around a fire. Why you should go to therapy. Hardcore starter pack. Living a life of failure rather than regret. How to work from home without losing your mind. Video games that saved my life. Things like that. Growing up as a single child in Section 8 apartments, having not much resources other than somehow my single mom scrapped together enough to get me a PlayStation 1. That shit completely changed my life. Having a thing to engage with to keep your mind off of trauma and all these other things going on is crucial. And I think video games, are such a big aspect of my life that are definitely kind of nerdy and probably not something everyone can connect with, but are definitely important to me. And it's weird working for yourself and making content online and doing freelance design work and all the other aspects of my business, and then growing that or getting it into a place that feels like, now this is what you are. You can only do this. You can't talk about other things. And it's like, I feel hypocritical sometimes when I give people other advice of just do whatever you want, post whatever you want, be who you are, show the world all the different aspects of yourself. And then at times when I feel like I'm not fully doing that myself. So this is almost like accountability for myself and hopefully inspiration for others in a way. It does feel good to hear all the people tell me how excited they are when I announce stuff like this on Instagram, and how they miss the podcast or they miss having something long form to listen to that they don't have to watch in this world of overstimulation. I would love for this to be the thing that you have on your second monitor, or that you have on just in your AirPods when you're mowing the lawn or working out or just doing something that is more passive. Because quite honestly, that's a lot of the stuff that I've been consuming in the past couple of years, because I still want to do things in real life, but sometimes that silence is deafening and you need a friend or another person or a collection of people in your ear to help you get through it all. And hopefully we can be that for each other, and this can be something that you come to enjoy and be part of your routine, and hopefully I stick with it. I'm going to try my best to overcome the fact that I don't really have experience in only talking about things that aren't design other than in my actual life. I want the listeners to be collaborators, and I want you to think of this space not as a continuation of the other things that I do online, but more of a new chapter and something that hopefully we can all connect on, regardless if we're artists, designers, or creatives, whatever the fuck you want to call it online. So if this energy resonates with you, consider subscribing to this channel, or listen on Apple, Spotify. If you're more of an audio person, I respect that. And if not, it's all good. And I appreciate you nonetheless. And I hope you continue to enjoy the other stuff that I do on the internet. So that's it. And I'll catch you in the second episode. Peace.